There are places where the air still remembers the last breath of the living. You can feel it before you cross the threshold, the way the cold clings to your skin, the way the silence feels listening, the way your own heartbeat sounds like it doesn't belong to you anymore. That's what I felt the night I entered Ravenshade Elementary. 30 years ago, on Halloween night, all 14 students from Class 3B vanished between 9 p.m. and midnight. No struggle, no screams, just a single thing left behind. A corridor full of fresh Halloween drawings, each one showing the same thing, a tall shadow standing behind the children. And for 30 years, the school has stayed sealed. But tonight, I had a key, and the school seemed to be waiting for me. I arrived at Ravenshade Elementary just after sunset, the sky bleeding orange behind the black silhouette of the building. The playground sat twisted and rotting, swings creaking though there was no wind. The metal slide bent inward like it was swallowing itself. The school looked smaller in photographs. Everything does when you don't feel it breathing. I stepped through the rusted gates, my flashlight trembling in my hand. Not because I was afraid, but because the cold bit straight into my bones. I'd investigated abandoned hospitals, forgotten tunnels, old asylums, but this place felt different. It felt awake. Every step toward the school's entrance made the air heavier. The moon disappeared behind thick clouds, as if the sky didn't want to watch what I was about to do. I reached the front doors. Both handles were wrapped in brittle police tape. DONOT enter. Missing persons case. I tore it aside. The key slid into the lock with a soft metallic groan. I turned it. Click. The building exhaled, and the door opened on its own. A wave of cold rolled out, thick enough to carry the faintest scent of crayons, and dust. I stepped inside. My flashlight flickered. The beam caught dust, drifting like ash. And then I heard it, very faint, somewhere deep inside the school. A child laughing, not echoing, not distant. Close, too close. I froze, breath caught in my throat. The school had been empty for 30 years. No children, no staff, no visitors. So who the hell just laughed? I scanned the entrance hall, bulletin boards peeling, old student artwork turned yellow, paper bats hanging limp on strings, cobwebs draped over lockers like torn curtains. Then I noticed something that made the hair rise on the back of my neck. Every clock I could see, in the hallway, above the office door, in the classroom windows, was stuck at the exact same time, 9:17 p.m., the time the children vanished. I swallowed hard, gripping my flashlight. "All right," I whispered to myself. "You've seen weirder." But even I didn't believe that. Not tonight. I took another step forward, and a second laugh echoed behind me. Soft, high-pitched. I spun around. The doors had closed, not gently, but slammed shut with enough force to shake dust from the ceiling. My heart kicked hard against my ribs. I tried the handle. Locked. The key on the inside was gone. I was sealed in. The lights above me flickered, and when they stabilized, a new sound filled the hallway. Footsteps, small ones running, tiny shoes tapping down the corridor. Then another pair, and another. Dozens of them. But there were no children. There couldn't be. I raised my flashlight, and that's when I saw them. On the far end of the hall, near the classrooms, 4 small silhouettes standing perfectly still. Children, motionless, facing me, unmoving. Their outlines were just dark shapes, but their shadows stretched wrong. Too long, too thin, like strings pulled tight across the floor. The children didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. just stared down the corridor at me, as if they'd been waiting all this time for someone dumb enough to walk in. My throat ran dry. "Hello?" My voice cracked in the air. Then one of the children stepped forward. Slow, mechanical. She wore a Halloween witch costume, the hat drooping to one side. Her face was hidden behind long, tangled hair that didn't sway with her steps, as if the air dared not touch her. She lifted her head slightly. Her voice was a whisper stretched too thin. "You're late." The other three stepped forward behind her, their feet not quite touching the ground, and the hallway lights snapped OFF, pitch black, except for the old classroom door beside me. Room 3B, the only door swimming in a faint, sickly orange glow, like a jack-o'-lantern breathing. The air thickened around me. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. Somewhere behind me, the children whispered in unison, "Come to class." I turned toward room 3B. The glow pulsed once, twice, inviting or warning. Then I heard something scrape across the floor inside the classroom. Slow, wet, heavy, and a child's voice, trembling, "Help us." I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The door to room 3B groaned open like it hadn't been touched since the night everything went wrong. My flashlight stuttered, the beam weak and shaking, as if the air itself resisted being illuminated. The room looked frozen in time, desks slightly pulled out, as if the kids had just stood up moments before. Paper ghosts and pumpkins taped to the walls, their edges curled. A blackboard covered in chalk dust. A plastic pumpkin bucket spilled across the floor, with candy still inside, fresh, as if it hadn't aged even a day. But the strangest thing wasn't the room. It was the temperature. Outside the classroom, the air felt cold and dead. Inside, it felt warm, alive, humid, like breath trapped in a sealed space. My skin prickled. And then I saw it. Footprints, tiny footprints, fresh ones, leading across the dusty floor, but only going one direction, toward the teacher's desk. I followed them with my light, slowly, carefully, each step sinking deeper into a dread I didn't want to name. Behind the desk, something shifted, a soft shuffle, like someone moving just out of sight. I leaned forward. "Hello?" Silence. Then a small shape rose slowly from behind the desk. A boy, maybe 8 years old. He wore a skeleton costume. The paint faded, but his face was clean. Too clean. No dust, no age, like he had been standing here minutes ago. His eyes were wide and glassy, reflecting my flashlight like polished marbles. He didn't blink, didn't move, just stared. "Are you one of the missing students?" His lips parted, and in a voice that didn't match his expression, a voice hollow and stretched, like someone speaking through him, he said, "It's almost time." My stomach twisted. Time for what? Before I could speak, he pointed slowly to the back of the classroom, but he didn't raise his arm. He raised his finger only, his arm hanging limply at his side, like it had forgotten how to function. A cold pressure gripped my spine. I followed the line of his pointing finger to the farthest corner of the room. It was darker there, not shadowed, dark, like something was absorbing the light. My flashlight struggled against it. The beam bent, warped, like it didn't want to enter that space. "Don't go," the boy whispered. I turned sharply toward him. His eyes were still wide, still unblinking, but tears streamed down his face now, except they weren't clean tears. They were gray, dusty, like ash mixed with water. "Don't go," he repeated, voice trembling. "He wakes up when someone looks at him." My skin crawled. "Who wakes up?" The boy lowered his gaze. the one who made the clock stop. Suddenly, a loud slam echoed behind me. I spun around. The classroom door had closed, hard, too hard, and the orange glow that had guided me into the room extinguished instantly, leaving only my flashlight's trembling beam. Behind the door, something breathed, slow, heavy, much too tall to be a child. The boy backed into the desk, trembling. "Please don't let him see you," he whispered. "Please don't let him think it's midnight." My pulse hammered. "What happens at midnight?" He shut his eyes. We disappear again. A cold gust swept through the room. Though every window was shut, the chalkboard screeched as new words carved themselves across it. 9:17 p.m. over and over, until the entire board was filled. The breathing outside the door grew louder, closer. A thick shadow began to spill across the bottom of the door, seeping in through the cracks like smoke. The boy grabbed my sleeve with a shaking hand. "Please," he begged, "don't let him take us back." My pulse spiked. "Take you back where?" The boy's expression twisted into deep terror. "To the hallway," he whispered. "But the hallway isn't the same when the lights go out." The shadow at the door crawled higher, swallowing the wood grain, rising like ink filling water. Something pressed against the door, slow, deliberate, a handprint, long-fingered, boneless-looking, stretching across the surface. Another breath, deeper, hungrier. The boy buried his face against my arm. "Please hide," he sobbed silently. "Please, please, please." But it was too late. The doorknob began to turn, not fast, excruciatingly slow, metal grinding, the sound of something savoring the moment. My breath froze in my lungs. The boy whispered one last warning. "Whatever you do, don't let him count you." The door cracked open, and the hallway behind it was no longer a hallway. It was pitch black, bottomless, endless, a darkness so absolute it looked alive. And from that darkness came a voice, low, calm, smiling even though no face was visible. A man's voice, but wrong. 13. The boy gasped in horror. "No, no." He started counting. RUN. The door burst open, and something stepped through. Tall, stretching the doorway, features wrong, shifting, like a shadow wearing human shape. Long arms, longer fingers, a head that tilted too far to the side, and a face. No, not a face, just darkness. He took one step inside the classroom, then another. His voice slid across the walls like oil. 14. The boy screamed and dove under a desk. My flashlight flickered violently as the figure turned toward me, and in his faceless void, I saw motion. Children, screaming. My heart stopped. He wasn't just taking them. He was keeping them, forever repeating the same moment. The figure's head tilted closer to me, neck cracking, limbs stretching like wet fabric. His voice wrapped around my skull. 15. Counting. Me. Behind me, the darkness in the back corner pulsed once, like something inside it had finally noticed me. The figure reached out, fingers stretching impossibly long, brushing the air inches from my chest. 16. My mind screamed. I didn't think. I ran, knocking over chairs, scrambling toward the nearest window. Glass fogged from the inside. No time to question it. The figure moved faster now. 17. I threw my arm over my face and smashed through the window. Glass exploded outward. Cold night air hit my skin like a slap. I tumbled onto the grass outside, rolling hard, gasping for breath. The school behind me shook, lights flickering in every room at once. Its voice slithered through the night. The ground beneath me vibrated, watching. And then, all clocks inside the building rang at once. The sound hammered through the walls, the windows, the ground, ringing. But they weren't ringing for 9:17 p.m. anymore. They were ringing to announce the next minute, 9:18 p.m. The shadow figure froze. Then slowly, it leaned back into the classroom, and all the lights in the school went out. Every window turned black. The screams stopped. The building fell silent, completely silent, except for one thing, a single child's voice echoing faintly from inside. "Come back." The school had gone silent. Not the quiet of an empty place, but the hollow, suffocating silence that feels like something is holding its breath. I staggered back from the shattered window, heart pounding so hard it shook my vision. Glass shards glittered on the grass around me like tiny frozen stars, each one catching the moonlight in sharp, trembling flashes. Behind me, the building loomed like a sleeping beast. No movement, no whispers, just darkness, except not a silhouette, not a body. My skin crawled. The shadow man had stopped counting when the clocks changed. When they shifted to 9:18 p.m., he froze. That meant something the kids hadn't been able to tell me yet. I took a shaky breath and forced myself to slow down. Panic gets investigators killed. Still running. I played back the last 10 seconds. Nothing. No man counting. No kids screaming. No footsteps. Pattern. But I didn't leave, because something strange happened. The ground trembled. Softly, at first, then harder. Like footsteps. Fast. I whipped around. Maybe 10. Wearing a Halloween pirate costume. Ripped. Dirty. Stained with 30 years of dirt. He didn't react. Didn't flinch. He ran straight to the front doors and passed through them. Not opened. Not pushed. Passed through them like he was smoke, or like the door wasn't there for him. A second later, the doors creaked open slowly on their own, inviting me in. The warm orange glow from before flickered back to life inside the hallway. "Don't leave us." I should have left, but I didn't. Not because I was brave, but because I realized something. The Shadow Man wasn't the only presence inside. There were two forces at play, and the children themselves, trying to reach out, trying to communicate, trying to break the loop. Or maybe I was just the first idiot in decades curious enough to walk back in. Either way, I stepped back toward the school. When my foot touched the broken glass beneath the window, the entire front hallway lit up in a soft, ghostly orange glow, like a jack-o'-lantern carved from the inside. The same color I'd seen before, but now it spread further, down the hall, toward the main office, like breadcrumbs, or warnings, or both. The doors creaked wider. A small hand pressed against the inside glass, not pushing, not clawing, just resting. A child's hand, small, like someone waiting for me to hold it. My breath hitched. "I'm coming inside," I whispered, barely believing the words leaving my mouth. The air shifted, and then instantly cold again. I stepped through the doors, and the moment I crossed the threshold, I wasn't in the same hallway anymore. I froze, swallowed hard, blinking against the sudden, impossible shift. The dust was gone. The lights were on. The walls decorated with fresh Halloween drawings. I turned around. The night outside was gone. I sucked in a shaking breath. I wasn't in the hallway. I was in a memory. A perfect, looping projection of Halloween night. The night the children vanished. A girl in a princess costume ran past, giggling, holding a pumpkin-shaped candy basket. A boy dressed as a vampire jumped out from behind a locker to scare her. Alive. But beneath their laughter, I heard something else. Wrong. Coming from deeper inside the school. Spoke. Attention. Students. They kept laughing, kept running, kept looping. The boy who ran through me passed by again. Same stride. Same laugh. Same direction. Same timing. A repeating record. Frozen in the last moments before midnight. A witch costume. Hat drooping to the side. The same girl from the dark hallway earlier. But here, she looked alive. She stepped closer, looking up at me even though she couldn't really see. Her smile faltered. Her eyes moved past me, above me. Her face drained of color. She whispered, "He's early this time." The lights flickered, slowing, stretching, like the sun was being pulled down by invisible hands. The witch girl backed away from me, heart slamming against my ribs, breath choking in my throat. Was the tall figure, limbs bending wrong. He wasn't part of the memory. He was real in both timelines. He lifted his head, sensing me. Then he lifted a finger and whispered in that low, smiling voice, "1," counting me. Colors bled off the walls, one by one. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. The witch girl screamed, harder than I've ever run in my life. 2, 3, 4. Each number thicker, louder, closer. Doors melted into the walls. Doors rearranged themselves as I ran. And all the while, the counting kept chasing me like breath on my neck. 5, 6, 7. Because standing in front of me, blocking the hallway, pale, eyes hollow. "We can't run." Behind me, the shadow figure's footsteps stopped. The counting paused. The pause was worse than the numbers. 8. The witch girl whispered urgently. "Don't let him reach 12. My blood turned to ice. 12 means what? I gasped. Her eyes filled with tears. I spun. Closer. Faster now. He whispered. 9, 10, 11. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I sprinted straight through the children. The floor shifted beneath me. Stairs spiraled upward where none existed before. Voices screamed from every wall. The shadow's voice roared. A hand closed around my ankle. Not physical. Cold. Weightless. A force. Dragging me backward. Dragging me toward him. I clawed at the steps. Nails scraping the floor. Legs kicking wildly. The shadow's grip tightened, yanking me down. My fingers slipped, and the darkness swallowed the hallway whole. The darkness swallowed me so fast it felt like falling into a mouth. Not falling down, falling in. Pulled backward by something cold, ancient, and patient. My hands slid off the stair edge. The grip around my ankle tightened, not crushing, but final, like a decision had been made. The shadow man didn't drag me fast. No, deliberately, like he wanted me fully conscious of every inch I was losing. The children screamed somewhere above me, distant now, muffled. Dio Anteli teach I am take you. Please, please, Dio and Gio. Their voices flickered in and out as though I was being pulled through layers of air. Thicker, darker. I clawed at the floor, but the floor was no longer a floor, forming a single phrase, a faint whisper behind me.